talking earlier, before we started, about how, things happen. We're exposed to things when we're younger, and we don't really know how to articulate that or really what's happening, but it makes you feel some kind of way. And then as you get older and you grow and you learn, then it starts to make more sense to you, and it connects, and you're like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, it made me feel this way when I was young. So, what were some moments like that for you with like writing, and then again with, your art and your painting? And then how do you feel, or how did you feel if you performed, at all when you were young? And then how does that make you feel now when you perform?
So a few of the moments, and I've dabbled in so many different art forms that my moments are just all over the place. So one was the moment where I was suspended from work. And like every time I say that, somebody's like, oh no, because they know I get really spicy. And so they're just like, what did you do?
Right.
Who'd you cuss out? Who'd you hit? No, it was just my attendance. Right. Because I'm always looking for a reason to call out. So I, had attendance issues, and they suspended me for what was supposed to be 3 days. It ended up being a week because I had the weekends off. And then I had one of the days in between the 3 days requested off for something else. And so literally I was off for a week. It worked. So I was suspended, and I woke up just, I'm just like, nope, I can either be upset about this because of the money I'm not going to make, or I can just utilize it. So I decided to utilize it. So I woke up in the morning, did my meditation, drank my tea, and I was, one morning in particular, I was sitting down and I was drinking tea and I was painting and I was watching one of Kevin Hart's comedy series. And I was just like in a good place, and I was painting and sipping tea, and I randomly just had a flashback of being a child sitting in the play area painting and sipping tea. And it was funny because I remember that day in particular, back in the day when I was a kid, I remember that day in particular because I was painting and I accidentally dipped my paintbrush in my teacup instead of the cup of water. And so like that moment when I remembered it, it was me about to dip it in my teacup and then realizing, and then I flashed back to that moment when I was a kid. And it was just like, when you watch the movies and, obviously there's this theme where you're following the character throughout their life, and whatever was happening in the beginning foreshadow what was going to happen after. And that's what it felt like. It was just like flashing back like, this was destined. Like this was predestined. Right. And so it just it literally, I got a kick out of it. And then the other time when I was at work walking with my flat bottom shoes, my hard bottom shoes, and just making the clicking sounds while I was walking. And I was just I have this thing with patterns. Like if I'm walking and there's different colored tiles, and I find I notice that I'm stepping on specific tiles, I'll have to continue that, or I get really anxious. So I was walking to it, there was no colored tiles, but I was walking to a rhythm, and I felt like I had to continue to walk with that rhythm when I noticed it. But the rhythm kind of reminded me of tap dancing. And then I was just like, ooh, I could really tap dance. I could probably really do this. So I went and bought tap shoes, and I started practicing tap. But then I remembered there was a CBTV special on tap dancing that I saw when I was a kid, and I was just really fascinated by it. And so just all the moments of, whether it's actually writing something or painting something or just dabbling some new art form, that there was a moment when I was a kid that kind of just introduced me to it and grabbed my attention so much so that I remember it vividly in the moments when I'm actually picking it back up again. But I don't know, it was just, it just it feels crazy. But I remember the first time I ever performed was high school. I got suckered into being a part of the poetry club, and again, I wasn't a joiner, so it was just I English class, I was on some too cool for school type of thing. So I knew how to, read the books and kind of just make those connections that the teachers were always pining for you to make. So I kind of blew everything off. So I was failing English, and at the end of the semester, she offered extra credit. So the extra credit was write 5 poems about topic of your choice, and I'm like, let me go grab my Skechers shoebox because I have to do this assignment.
Exactly.
So I picked the 5 best ones and I turned it in. she hands it back, a big ass. Like, I felt like she was so proud writing that A on the paper.
That's dope, though.
Like, I felt it looking at it like, yeah, she was mad happy writing this. But she wrote a note saying that I should go see the poetry club teacher, and I'm just like, just hand me my A and sit down. I'm not doing all of that. So I completely ignored it. Then my psych teacher, who was friends with the poetry teacher, who was also my softball coach, they were best friends, and so it was just like, if I didn't, like, I knew I wanted to play softball. I didn't know that the softball coach was also the poetry teacher, so I thought I was just like, dodge, like, no, I'm busy, I got softball, thought I was dodging something. Right. Nope. So my English teacher ended up talking to my psych teacher to pressure me, and I'm just like, I'll do the absolute most right. So she ended up, like, just like, and I was a lot closer with my psych teacher than my English teacher, so like, when the way she kind of pitched it to me, I was just like, okay, all right, I'll try. And of course it was still something that I put on the back burner until I joined softball, and then she was right in my face, oh, so Miss Allison told me, and I was just like, damn,
right.
I'm like, yo,
I'm trying to get away from me.
Yes. So I ended up joining poetry club, and like some of the other poets, they were just like really, really good. Like the level that I'm at now, like they were there in high school, and so I was just really drawn to like their style of writing and their stories and things like that. And I remember the first performance we had. It was at City Steam in Hartford, and there was a stage, and the lights were literally shining bright on me, and I had my piece of paper, my 3-hole punch paper, reading my poem, and I was so nervous and so embarrassed because the other, like, the more practiced poets up there that were just like slamming and just like knew their piece,
their rhythm.
Yes, and I was just like, I was mesmerized, but also I was just like, I can't back down now. Like, so I read, like, I, just cowardly, just timid, and just, it felt hot with the lights on me, like, and I know it wasn't that hot, but it just felt really hot being right under the lights. And I read my piece, and I was just like y'all ain't fooling nobody with all the snaps and claps after. I know that wasn't great, but thinking, y'all trying to make me feel better. Right. I appreciate it.
There is a section here called Big Things. And before I get into it, I'm just going to kind of speak to why I picked this one in particular. And I went to school for exercise science. So, like, we learn a lot about, energy, how it's used and everything like that. And in a seemingly unrelated way, you're talking about energy and how it's transferred as well. But it's... In going to school for that and learning all that I did, one of the first things that we learn is the law of conservation of energy. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, right? And that's true to people too, not just but like you said, we're chemicals, but if we're speaking in a just strictly scientific sense, chemicals, when they bond and everything like that, there's just transference of energy and transformation of energy. It's not that it was never there, and it's not that it's going away. Like,
yes.
It's always there. It's always moving, changing. And that's how it is with people that you let into your life and people that you essentially kind of let leave your life at the same time. But in some senses, energy can still stay, can still linger. Yeah. And so I want to read this paragraph because, you speak about energy transference and, a lot of people may think it's kind of like mystical and mumbo jumbo, but it's a real thing. So I just want to read this really quickly and then get your thoughts. So I've come to take energy transference seriously. Even interactions as simple as smiling at someone in passing can have a profound effect on their day. I've found myself tearing up on occasion on account of some small gesture of consideration from people who should feel no obligation to make my day. I've come to see love as much more than an expression between people who are close. I've come to see it as a force. I've come to feel it for everyone, from the vagrants on the streets of Los Angeles to the elderly I see passing at home, who look to be toiling day in and day out for each and everything they need. Even for convicted felons who, although they have dictated their own predicament, through their actions, have led lives that led them to be who they are in some way or another. I've learned that even villains have backstories. In most, if not all of those tales, there is some moment that could have changed their entire course of their lives if someone would have reached out and showed a little love.
My thoughts, like when, like, people watching or just like interacting with people, they play out like a Sundance film. Sometimes you just, you watch those films that have no definitive end. There's no moral of the story that's obvious to you. It just ends. And you just see the credits and you're just like, wait, what?
Right.
Like, that's how my thoughts feel. Like when I see, like, I'll see people, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I'll see people and I'll wonder what their life was like that brought them to that moment. Because in my own life, that's how my thoughts flow. Like, I probably shouldn't do that because this is probably what's going to happen.
Right.
And just like, I literally try to map out everywhere it's going to go or could potentially go. And if the majority of that potential isn't good, I'm just like, I should probably not do that.
Right.
And there are things that I've like scared myself away from doing, even good things, like things that could possibly be beneficial, because there's a chance that this shit might suck.
Exactly.
But like, I see people like that, and on my best days when I'm not too busy being worried about what's happening in my own life, I feel that compassion for them, and I feel like, you know what, I can allow the frustration that I'm feeling to cause me to have an attitude with you and just, screw with your day because mine is screwed up. Or I can just, my day isn't going that well, and I know anything I say to you could just come off wrong, so let me just shut up. I have that consideration now, because I've had so many moments where I was just so impressionable and just so open to whatever was happening because I didn't know enough to like lock in and like shut down the portals to just my realm where people's thoughts and energy wasn't.
Okay, so what made you, I guess, want to title it Control and then have, the subtitle Ambitions of a Fighter?
So Control is... Control was the name of the blog back in 2014, and I think from that track, Control with Kendrick, Big Sean, and
yes,
Jay, that was always a thing for me. Like after hearing that, I was just like, yo, like this track is like that fire, like up until Jay Electronica's part, but we're not gonna go there. Like,
a lot of people would disagree with
honestly, like I think his verse was good. I just don't think it fit with everything else. Like it kind of just like this is a track where you spit, like you throw the fire, like, and he was just like way too calm. I'm like, nah, fam, I need you to come with it. I need you to bring it. And that was just the vibe. Like even though Big Sean's verse, obviously his was kind of chill too, it started it. So you can't start it chill, escalate, and then like, come on, like I was waiting for I was waiting for more punches.
Gotcha.
But I don't know, just the concept of, like essentially that's what it is, like taking the reins of your life. And that was big for me because it wasn't a thing that I've ever had. Like it was like, people telling me what to do in school, people telling me what to do in church, people telling me what to do at home, like my parents, and I was the middle child, and it's like I never had like yes, exactly. And I never had that authority with my brother. My brother is the youngest, and it's just like, okay, so there's somebody else that I can tell what to do, and he never listens.
Right, because there's still somebody else that can tell you what to do, so it's like,
so please. It's just like, watch your brother. Okay, don't do this, do this. And okay, yeah, he's not listening. And I was completely disregarded all the time, so I had no control over anything, ever. And I didn't have any pets.
Right.
So it was just like, everybody was pulling my strings, and I didn't know what it was like to do that by myself. And then there came a point in time where nobody was telling me what to do, and it was just like, what the hell?
What do I do?
Like I have absolutely no guidance now. Right. So it's just like, my parents were just like, yeah, you're old enough. And I was out of school, so no teachers, and I wasn't in church, so it was just like, So I'm just like,
okay.
What am I doing? Right. And I feel like even that, like with my writing and my art, it's like going from a place where you're writing essays because your teacher told you to, and they gave you a subject and they told you how to do
format.
It. Yeah. So even writing this or just writing poetry is just like, what am I writing about? Like, who's gonna tell me if I did it right?
Right, exactly.
And so like I literally, it took so much effort to get from needing instructions, needing guidance, needing somebody to validate what I've done,
right,
to, okay, yeah, this is good. And I'm still not fully there. Because even writing this, like I had a panic attack the day that I released it. Because I was just like, oh my god, people are going to see all of it. It's probably hella technical. Oh, like I panicked. Like I got high on top of it. And I thought that was going to pacify me, but it didn't. It just amplified it. Yeah. I'm in bed, like I literally, like the link was broken, and that added to my panic attack, and then I fixed it, and I literally curled up. Like I had one of my friends, she was texting me like the whole time, and was just like, oh, I'm so proud of you. I was like, thanks, I'm gonna go take a nap now. And I literally curled up in a ball, head under my, because it was in the morning, so it was still a little chilly, and I did like head under covers, and I fell asleep that way. But I was rocking myself to sleep because I was that panicked about it. But just like, not having someone say, hey, this is right, this is good, do it. And having to be that own, like I had to be an adult.
Source,
yes.
right.
I had to be a grown up and say, yep, this is good, do it.
Right.
Like I had to give myself my own instruction, and that I wasn't used to. So like, how, like, knowing that, as far as like the certain situations that I mentioned in it, like, with family relationships and, romantic relationships and things like that, and work, like knowing that you have to, like, literally, you have to take control over your own life, or someone will utilize you for their own shit. And just, that's what it was. And then being in the relationships where, I didn't actually actively say yes to the relationship. It would just kind of happen because I wasn't aware of myself. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted. Any of that. So I accepted whatever anybody else wanted from me. And it wasn't until it became uncomfortable, where I was literally drowning in somebody else's desires, that I was just like, bruh, this doesn't feel okay. Let me step back. And it was always when I decided to step back that it posed a problem for those people. And that's when the relationship would end. And I don't know, it was just going through these different scenarios and realizing that the angst came from me not saying what I wanted, because it was just like something was happening. My mind is like fighting against it, but I wasn't verbalizing it. And that's where it was a tug of war between what I actually thought and what I actually wanted and what was happening. And so I'm just like, yo, I need to stop this now. This is driving me crazy.
I want you to read an excerpt out of your book and just, close it out. We'll end on a lovely note. Gather around, kitties.
So I actually got this portion of this chapter. So the chapter was from the Control chapter. So You Can Cry. It was a Neo song. A Neo song that I heard. Like it was on. I think it was on Year of the Gentleman. It's back in like 2008, 2007, 2008.
Something like that.
Yeah. So I'll read this part. There are stains on your mirror that have become ingrained in your reflection. No matter how many others see you. No matter how many others see you. I'm way too smart for that. No matter how many others see you and tell you that you're fine, your memories of imagined flaws keep you glued to the place that fear told you was yours. We see tears as a breach of our strength. We avoid our weaknesses as if they aren't the driving forces behind the weights we push ourselves to lift. We are strong because we've been weak. What is a highlight without a low or two to shadow it? We shun pieces of ourselves and wonder why we never feel whole. Emotions aren't meant to be evaded. They are the waters in which we wade, waiting for the wisdom to help us adjust and the knowledge to help us accept the experiences that blow past us like winds, chilling us out of our comfort zone. There will be days when your purpose begins to blur and you can't for the life of you remember why you made the decision to get out of bed. Accept the sweet reminders of your vulnerability as life simply cautioning you to take some time out to release the pressures that have inevitably been building up in your soul. Purge yourself. Write it out, talk it out, hug it out, walk it off, travel it away, cry it out. In whatever way you feel inspired to, get it off your chest. Don't allow that weight to crush your next breath. You'll need it to enjoy the better that comes next.
Right? Yes. Andre in the background. Yes. Snaps and claps. Okay, so where can people find Control, and where can people follow you, find updates, signings, all that stuff?
So Control is available everywhere. No, I'm kidding. It's available on Amazon, or there's a link in the bio of my social media accounts at Kimolee Eryn, KIMOLEEERYN, on all social media platforms. There's a link in my bio that you can order it from. It's a blurb.com link, or you can go in on Amazon and type in Control Kimolee Eryn and it'll pop up. And it's also available on iTunes ebook. So there'll be more. Perhaps an audiobook, maybe, if I can muster it. I started to, and I haven't made it past the introduction. I'm just like, that alone took me like 30 minutes. I'm like, yeah, this is coming 2018 at some point. Right. But yeah, there'll be more. There will be updates everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, my website, www.KimoleeEryn.com, and maybe some audio for the next project on SoundCloud. I don't know yet. We'll see. But all things at Kimolee Eryn, and there will be updates soon.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kimolee, for inviting me into your home. I love this book, and I really recommend it to anybody.
Thank you.
Someone's like, I need a new book to read. I'm like, you should read this one.
Yes, I keep seeing the tags. Like,
read this. Shameless plugs all around.
I respect it.
Yeah, no, of course. So thank you. This episode is also going to be found on giraffesiveview.com. You can follow me on Twitter. My @name is Young Amazon, YUNGAMZN. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see